Hey, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Sell More Book Show, episode 632. We are live here on Facebook and YouTube. Remember, you can catch the show live on Tuesdays at 1 o'clock Eastern Time in all of the places you follow me on social media. So I'm Brian Cohen from Best Page Forward and the Author Ad Agency. I am so excited to be able to chat with you today. So we have had a lot of interesting stuff happen on these lives. There's a couple of jokers that like to hop in. But what I love to say is those of you who are here, who are live, I would love it. Feel free to comment throughout the show. Your comments give me energy. Sell More Book Show, as always, is brought to you by the Author Ad Agency. We run Amazon ads and Facebook ads for authors earning over $6,000 a month in royalties. If you are one of those people and you are looking to scale up, hit us up. Just shoot us an email, brian@sellingforauthors.com. If you are not there, but you know someone who might be a good fit, send them our way and you can actually get a $500 in cash if you refer someone who ends up joining. So win-win situation. I love a good win-win situation. Oh, good, Nora. I'm glad that this chat is helpful. I love getting to do this live. I really, truly do love getting to do this live. Last week's question, and guys, we didn't have a lot of uptake on this one, but what's one starving artist habit that you're still clinging to? I might have to have you answer this live since we only got a one answer here. What's one starving artist habit that you're still clinging to? Undercharging, over discounting, saying yes to everything that is actively repelling the income level you say that you want. Deep, deep questions, my friends. So you feel free to answer that in the chat. But Carol A said, saying yes to everything. I'm working very hard on saying no. If you say yes to something, you're saying no to something else. If you're saying yes to something that is a 5, you might be saying no to something that is a 10. So we must remember that what you say yes to is something you are prioritizing. And if you don't actually want to prioritize that thing, you're going to need to practice saying no to it. So that's awesome, Carol, that you are working on this. If anybody else has any, let me know. But we are going to start going into the show proper here right now. I will say that I have actually had the conversation a lot lately of focusing on your most important series. Sometimes that is me telling folks in my Pathfinders Author Mastermind, who are authors who make over $2,500 a month in royalties that I coach. Some of these folks have the next few books that they're planning on writing are not in their most profitable series. And so there's that. Some folks are not putting the bulk of their advertising into their most profitable series. Some of these folks are not focusing their social media attention completely on their best-selling series. They are divided. And a house divided will fall, my friends. No, it won't fall. But a house divided is not going to get you the highest possible profitability. And so I highly recommend, if you have something that is more profitable than other things, it may deserve your focus. If nothing is highly profitable, something new may deserve your focus. So I hope that is helpful. Deborah says, one of the things holding her back, not protecting my time better from my needy family. I'm getting better. Small steps in the right direction are still steps in the right direction. 100%, Deborah. Boundaries. I spoke with one of my former Pathfinder students who's doing quite well now. She says, Brian, 3 years ago, If you hadn't told me to set boundaries, my mother-in-law would still be busting in here at 1:30 in the afternoon. Boundaries. Boundaries. I think that you and your needy family may need to have some tough conversations about them sustaining themselves. Leanna says, I need to write consistently, and I'm also guilty of undercharging. I once had a coach, Leanna, that said, how much are you charging? And I started talking, and he said, double it. He didn't even wait for me to say the thing. He literally just said double it, because almost all of us are undercharging. Almost all of us are undercharging. With our books, with our products, with our everything. Almost all of us are undercharging, and we need to work on that because your time is valuable. The writing consistently thing, just remember that if you can get into the routine of doing it every single day, it's going to be easier. Carla says, I don't write series, just standalones. Look, you can write really, really good, solid standalones. You just need to make sure that there is an audience for it. Can't just write whatever you feel a lot of the time. Justin says, not sticking to a plan if it's slow off the ground at first. I need to examine the data better and bank off the positive results rather than give up due to the negative ones. Yeah, getting at least several months of data on things, Justin, is going to make a big difference. And sometimes that might mean 6 to 12 months of data. These are great, guys. These answers to these starving artist habits. I love this. Remember, you can always answer the question of the week on the Sell More Book Show After Party Facebook group or at sellmorebookshow.com. Let's go talk about this week's top story. Reviews matter, but not how you think. Reviews are the lifeblood of book sales, but you might not need as many as you think. Quote, reviews are the social proof engine that powers book sales, but most authors approach them with a mix of urgency and guesswork. Writes Penny Sansevieri for Writers in the Storm. Some authors take a relaxed approach to getting reviews, letting them come about naturally and slowly, while others try to put a review generating machine in place before the book is even launched. Quote, industry data shows purchase likelihood surges when a title even has a few thoughtful opinions, writes Sansevieri, with a major lift between 0 and 5 and another trust bump beyond 20, end quote. Good news, bad news. Sansevieri says that putting in a lot of work to get a lot of reviews in quickly can backfire. Quote, Amazon systems flag bursts of near identical, unverified, or ultra short reviews, she says. A sudden wave of 40 in a day reads like manipulation. Instead of pushing for a pile-on during release week, map a longer path, end quote. So how do you get reviews in the first place? Start by creating a thoughtful launch team. Invite your readers to read advanced copies, but don't require them to review on launch day itself. Then for ongoing reviews, don't underestimate the power of an ask in your back matter. Quote, a short note written in your voice catches readers at the exact moment of peak connection, says the author. Think of reviews as compounding trust. 5 this month and 5 next month outpace 50 in a weekend. You'll serve the algorithm, impress shoppers, and protect your account integrity, end quote. For more about what to do and what not to do when it comes to reviews, check out the link in our show notes. So Penny knows her stuff, absolutely agreeing with the data that you're going to get a massive trust boost beyond 5 reviews. That's why I highly recommend when you post a new box set that includes reviews, that includes book 1 in the content, you ask folks who've posted a review of book 1 to copy and paste that over, especially if it is one of these longer and more thoughtful reviews. I see way too many box sets on Amazon with 1 review. Now, I agree with Penny that there's definitely a boost at 5 and definitely a boost at 20. And a lot of authors struggle to get to that point. The launch team is absolutely one of the best ways to do this. The launch team is by far and away one of the smartest decisions. I highly recommend having an automation sequence where in the 5th email of your automation sequence, you make sure you are asking people to join your advanced review copy team. And so these are all important considerations. But what do I disagree with Penny about? I'm a big fan of getting a lot of reviews in week 1. I am not as worried about the algorithm being angry about them, about there being too many too soon. I did speak with an author recently who was frustrated because Amazon did not post all of the reviews from her review team, but she still had over 100. And absolutely, I think that what this data does not show that it might show if there was more info, there is definitely a trust boost at 100 reviews, a massive trust boost at 100 reviews. It's something about that century mark. It makes a difference. And then when we see the big time authors, I think there is a trust boost at 1,000. So 5, 20, 100, 1,000. And so if you build that street team over time, that advanced review copy team over time, you can make a difference. So, hot potato, a wisdom question here. How much does the number of reviews and their average rating matter when you're using advertising? So in addition to there being a trust boost, there is usually improved conversion. I was just speaking with a client for our author ad agency, and they had said they were planning on doing a review push in week 3 when they were trying to get a lot of sales in week 1. I highly, highly recommended that they move the review push to week 1 so that conversion for the ads that were running for them could be stronger. So I highly, highly recommend that you get to 5, you get to 20, at least get to 20. Push, do what you have to do to get to 20, and the ARC team can do a big, that can majorly help with this. What mistakes do you see authors in getting reviews? Don't ask your friends. Don't ask your friends. Don't ask fellow authors. Don't do review for review trades. This is all junk. This is all junk. In reality, it's a slow and steady process. You build up the number of potential reviewers over time, and it can make a huge difference. So getting that ARC team in place is great. Using email list promotion buildups like BookFunnel, Story Origin, Written Word Media. These aren't necessarily going to get you more sales by building up your email list this way, but they may help to get you more and more reviews. And so you want to do everything you can to get more attention on the reviews of your book. Carla asked, doesn't the Amazon reviews affect the algorithm? Absolutely. This is one of the reasons why I think more than 20 is a good thing. All right. I hope y'all enjoyed that story. Let's get to the lightning round. Chicka chow. What advice do you have for authors struggling to write because everything seems out of their control in the industry? Now, this is an interesting one. I really like this because, there are things in the industry that are out of our control. If Amazon changes something in the algorithm, if someone loses their account, which usually is able to be gotten back, but if a trend changes, you've been writing to a certain trend and then it changes. How do you continue to write? Because writing is in your control, and we must remember that there are certain things that are in our control, and if we fail to do the things that are in our control, it's going to be hard for us to influence and reach the people that we want to reach. There are things out of your control. Of course, there are things that are out of your control, but there are definitely things that you can do to reach more readers, and writing the next book is absolutely one of them. So I want you to remember that, yes, there are some scary bits that are not in your control, But more often than not, if you focus on the things you can control, you will make progress. 2, which metric are you currently optimizing for? Bestseller rank, follower count, units sold, and is that number actually correlated with profit in your business or just how successful you appear to other authors? So when we work with our author ad agency clients, we are highly recommending they use a software that allows us to see the royalties in real time, because the metric that we're always optimizing for the clients of ours is increased dollars of profit. That is the number one thing. Increased dollars of profit is the most important thing. So if we are seeing that we're doing something and it increases the overall dollars in profit, then we are going to keep doing more of that thing. That's why we like seeing sales in real time. But what if we're working with an author where we can't necessarily see the sales? They're giving us some of the books that are traditionally published or what have you. In that case, we're usually basing it off of sales rank because that increase in rank is often associated with an increase in bank, not always. So what metric should you use? I am a big believer in using dollars of profit as the most important metric. I see authors, they don't have a single book in the top 30,000 in the Kindle store, and they still make $10,000 a month. Why? Because they are optimizing their large backlist for increased dollars of profit. So I highly, highly recommend that. Y'all, I'm not seeing many comments here on the socials. Let me know what you're thinking about stuff. I see Rebecca in here. Good to see you. I see a question from Tracy. We'll see if we have a time to look at that there. But let me look. Interesting. Okay. I'll answer Tracy's question real quick. Tracy asked, what are the best ways to launch translated versions of a nonfiction book series to the masses? How do we approach ads? You run ads in that country. If the book is in German, you run ads in the German marketplace to German keywords and other German titles. If it's French, you run ads to that book in France, in the France marketplace. So it's really about running the right ads to the right marketplace. You got a bonus question. Look at you, live viewers. How do you feel when a reader doesn't get your book? And what does that reaction say about your identity? So this is a really interesting one. You put out your book, you think it's a certain genre, you put it out there, and the feedback may be positive, but a lot of the comments are like, this was unexpected. This was unexpected. In most cases, this means it is going to be harder to sell your book. I don't think it says anything necessarily bad about you. It doesn't affect your identity, but it might mean that you are not fully stepping into the archetype of author that might be able to reach more people. For example, one author that we work with, Trixie Silvertail, she went from writing a bunch of different series to writing like a whimsical but saucy, not saucy, but what's the word I'm looking for? Like, bantery, witty, paranormal cozy mystery series, and that fit her to a T in a genre that had demand. So if you can find the way to sync up your identity, sync up your writing with that identity with a genre that makes the most sense for your identity, that's going to make a ton of difference. And if you haven't made any money off of your books yet, then that is a possibility. We're getting tons of bonus questions today. This is great. Teresa asked, if a backlist book takes off on social media, what is the first thing you do to hop on it? Make sure there is ad spend to that book, because chances are it's going to be cheap while that book is taking off. And if you had a book take off on social media, congrats to you, Teresa. How many unfinished projects, half-written books, or abandoned launches are currently in your business, and which one would generate the most revenue if you committed to finishing it before starting anything new? This is a really interesting question to think about. We've definitely had books and launches and things that we never went ahead with. There were projects that did not work well, and didn't seem like they were going to work well, so we shelved them. But there is always something, right? Something you might play around with, something that you haven't fully done, something that you decided to pivot away from because you were scared. Sometimes that is a book worth releasing, and sometimes it is not. But it is a really good question to ask. Are there any books in your, in your past, what have you, that is going to potentially make you some money? And then it's a relatively easy thing to bring that into the world. So, really interesting question. So, what systems do you have in place to keep generating reviews months and years later versus all during launch week? How can you get reviews after launch week? I highly, highly recommend you have 2 sets of automation. You have an automation for when people join your email list, and then you have a 5th email in there that pushes them to a review team. But that is not where the automation stops. We actually have another automation for the review team that gets them a copy of the book one in your series or one of your standalones, and has it so that they can get a review copy so that they can leave reviews. And so absolutely, it is helpful to have a system, and then a system within that system to continue to generate more reviews. Great questions here. There's a combination of Roland and my executive assistant, Amy, and I'm very, very appreciative for both of you. We need a question of the week. I think I'm going to pull from one of these questions because I think that this could be really, really helpful. Let's do this one. What systems do you have in place to keep generating reviews months and years later versus all during launch week? I'm going to ask that one to all of you, and you can answer it over at sellmorebookshow.com or in the Sell More Book Show After Party Facebook group. The party is always hopping live here on Facebook, here on YouTube, here on Instagram. I love, love, love getting to chat with you guys. Thank you, Anne Marie and Teresa and Tracy and Carla and Justin and Leanna and Deborah and Nora. And I saw Kathleen and Charity and Kevin, as well as Anita and Monica, Deborah. I think I got everybody. Everyone who commented, everyone. Oh, and Melinda, of course. Thank you, thank you, thank you for being here live for the show. Remember, we'll be back here next Tuesday for another episode. And if you listen on the regular podcast feed, I hope you enjoy that as well, of course. So remember, the Author Ad Agency, if you know someone, hit us up, reach out. We would love, love, love to work with a friend of yours who is in that stage where they are ready to scale. I am so happy we got to chat today. I hope all of you have a great book selling week, and we will be back next time for episode 633. Bye, everybody.